Hey, you all. I can't believe I'm opening up another video like this, but check this out. Nah! Yeah, my car needs an oil change. My rental car that I got 2 days ago. Oh my God. So while I was driving to the location I wanted to film today, the notice came on in the car that it needed an oil change. And yes, this is the rental car that I got 2 days ago. They gave me a car that needed an oil change. So at first I'm like, man, I'm just gonna deal with this. I'm just gonna go get an oil change. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, that might not be that simple because, you know, when I get an oil change, they usually check the registration of the car and all that. And they may not want to, you know, fill the oil in a car that doesn't belong to me, a rental car. They may not do that. I don't know if they do that or not, if they would have just done it. But and then I didn't know if if Enterprise would want me to do that, if they could get mad at me for doing that or something. But so I called Enterprise. I called their you know, roadside assistance line, and first they like could not find the car. Like I gave them the license plate, the VIN number, my name, my personal information. They couldn't pull it up. So got a little frustrated. They had me call a separate line to speak to a customer service representative to be able to get my my number for, like, my whatever you call it, the reservation number or whatever. And so I called back, went to the roadside assistance. What do I do? Well, you have to switch your car out. I couldn't just, you know, I don't know. It seems like it would be easier for them to just cover an oil change somehow, but so now I'm having to go back and switch out again. And I checked out of my hotel that I was staying in last night. I checked out, so I have literally everything I own in the back of this car. So I'm gonna have to go get a new rental car and switch it out again. Oh my goodness. What's even happening? And because I don't want to get charged some ridiculous fee, I'm having to get this car all gassed up for them. All right, gonna go in here and see if they can get me another rental car. Another day, another white Nissan. We're switching over to this Nissan Rogue Sport. So this is the third Nissan Rogue that I'll have been in on this trip. This is the Sport, so it looks like it's maybe a little smaller. And this, you know, this one was really nice. I don't know if this one had a lot of bells and whistles on it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to be switching, taking all my luggage out of there and getting it over here. Inside, this looks almost identical to the original Rogue I had as my rental. So I'm wondering if that was a Rogue Sport as well. This looks almost indecipherable from the first rental car I had. Okay, so I got to move all of this over to this. A little bit of a dip right here, so I'm laying out a foundation of Move Zero Sugar soda boxes to kind of make an even back seat. All right, I think we're loaded and ready to go. And now we return to our regularly scheduled program. Hey, you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the West. More specifically, we're in San Jose, California, and even more specifically than that, we're in front of the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum. Now, I was curious, what is a Rosicrucian? And my research tells me that it is a secret society started in the 16th century. So I'm not sure why they have an Egyptian museum. I'm not sure. I feel like making a public museum would make it harder to keep secrecy of your secret society. But I guess, I don't know, maybe the Rosicrucians are now out in the open and they've opened this museum, which is supposedly the largest collection of Egyptian artifacts in America. So I feel pretty safe in saying I think we're gonna see some mummies in there. So please follow me. As you can see, the very impressive exterior of the museum there. We've got a line of goats here outside of the front, and the top of that sign, it says we are net zero carbon. You can do it too. So I guess a very environmentally friendly Egyptian museum. All right, so from inside the museum, I guess we're going to be checking out the afterlife gallery first. This is a replica of the sarcophagus of King Tutankhamun, often known as King Tut. And I'm noticing something here. So the original sarcophagus, at some point the beard snapped off, and someone reattached it with hot glue. And I'm looking at this replica, and if you look closely, this was also broken off at some point, and it looks like it was reattached with hot glue. I am not sure if that's a coincidence or just them just trying to be accurate. I guess that beard is, I don't know, maybe it was just made kind of in a way that's easily snapped off. And yes, they do have mummies. Look at this mummy right here. This is an upper class Egyptian male. Says they're not sure who exactly he was, and you can see this is a different style of mummies than maybe we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing the entire bandaged mummy. It said this mummy is from 1549 BCE. So I don't know. It says it was a upper class style of embalming. Very interesting. Here is Sherritt. Says that she is a Roman era mummy of a young girl, and over here we can actually see where they have done a facial reconstruction of what Sherritt looked like when she was alive. Yeah, you can actually look up here. You can see where they put the mummy through the X-ray machine. This is a Egyptian tomb. This one's not in a pyramid. I think even though we think of mummies being in pyramids, that probably very few actually were in actual pyramids. But you can see the tomb there, very elaborate tomb. The mummies are at the very end right there. See a sarcophagus there, which is like a coffin for a mummy, where the mummy would be wrapped and then placed in that sarcophagus. Now often Egyptians would be buried with animals that were important to them in life, and you can see an amazing collection here of different mummified animals. That is a full mummified bull's head. That is amazing. They've preserved the bull's head. They put the fake eye then over the wrapping. It's amazing how old that is. Just thinking about how long ago it was that that was preserved. Then there's a mummified cat. Of course, Egyptians loved cats just like we do today. There is the mummified cat, and that is a coffin. It's almost like a statue of a cat. I guess that you would place the real remains of the cat inside. There is a mummified gazelle. Said that they would keep gazelles as pets, like a small little hoofed animal. You can see they have drawn an eye onto the gazelle's mummy there. See some various mummified birds there. That in the middle is a ibis coffin. So it looks like they would preserve the birds, wrap them, and then place them in a lifelike coffin that looked like the bird would look like in life. Got a lot of sarcophaguses here. Then over here you can actually look inside of this sarcophagus. You can see how ornate they were inside. It's really, you know, you can really tell the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, how important death was to them, or how important the afterlife was. I mean, look at the detail placed on the inside of this coffin that would, you know, not be seen by many people. Be placed. They placed the remains in there, closed the door, and then all this, all these hand-painted figures would never be seen again. When I did my video on the Museum of Us, I asked, why was there so many empty sarcophaguses? What happened to the mummies? And I got some answers in the comment section that I thought at first, where I was like, no way. People said that they used mummies as fuel for trains. I'm like, that is ridiculous. So there's got to be a more efficient way to fuel a train than just throwing dried corpses into it. And but apparently it's true. Apparently there was just a lot of mummies. I guess over thousands and thousands of years of Egyptians burying mummies, there was an overabundance of mummies. So they would use them to fuel trains. They'd use them for other things too. People would grind up mummies thinking they had magical powers and ingest them. And even rich white people would have mummy unwrapping parties where they would take mummies and just, I guess, have a few cocktails and then unwrap the mummy and see what was inside. Yeah, so many sarcophaguses in here. Now looking at this, I said, that right there, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It is a baboon mummy, and it says that this is a baboon mummy that was made as a donation for the god Thoth. I think I'm saying that right. But it said that the people would take animals and donate them, wrap them in bandages, and then leave them at a temple as an honoring for their gods. And it said that it became so popular that they're actually having difficulty finding animals to mummify. So sometimes they would make fake animals, or only like include a couple bones. And the museum, the Rosicrucian Museum, had this baboon that was mummified, and they did an X-ray on it and determined that this is not actually a baboon. This is a ancient Egyptian baboon mummy replica. Says that when they did an X-ray, there was a clay jar taking up most of the body, and the face there is wooden. So still absolutely amazing artifact there. This baboon mummy. This is nightmare. This is something out of a nightmare, isn't it? The baboon mummies. I mean, baboons, one of the scariest monkeys in existence. Mummies, a certified scary monster. So a baboon mummy. Just imagine if that was running at you screaming and baring its teeth. This is a different type of coffin. This is from the Middle Kingdom, which is 2066 BCE to 1650 BCA. It's more like the ones we use today, kind of a square box. This is a sarcophagus of Uzur-Matu, who was an ancient Egyptian priest. And they said that the first mummy I showed, the one without the bandages, that was actually in this sarcophagus, but it was determined that he was not supposed to be in here. This was not his. This was not his sarcophagus. They've been swapped, been placed in here at some point, and they were like thousands of years apart. Another mummy there. This one, you can see how tightly it's wrapped up. It has this burial helmet on the top. And here we have a replica of a tomb. This looks spooky. So I guess we're headed in to the mummy's tomb here. There's not gonna be like a jump scare in here, is there? Oh, it's really dark. What? Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. This is actually really crazy. You can see the pillar there has collapsed. Hopefully the tomb itself will hold up. Wow, I feel like Indiana Jones going in here. And that's this statue. Is this our sarcophagus? I think this is just a statue. And oh no, we're headed downward, deeper underground to get to the tomb. Okay, where are we now? There's hieroglyphics on the wall here. Oh, I guess this is where the body has been dug up. You can see I can't see, it's too dark. And that, let me use the light on my phone. Okay, looks like this tomb has been robbed because there's no mummy left. So we come up out of the tomb and we enter a different section of the museum. This is the daily life section, which discusses the daily life of the Egyptians. But they do still have some sarcophaguses in here. See some different objects that would be used in Egyptian daily life. Look at the faces on those jugs. It says these objects here are called heart scarabs. So it'd actually be placed on a mummy's chest in order to take place of their heart. Here are some jars that be used to place the mummy's organs in. It says that it was believed you needed all of your organs in order to move on to the afterlife, except the brain. And I think the brain was important, so they would just throw that away, but everything else was put in these fancy jars. So these are some false eyes, so you needed all your body parts to move on, but if you were missing some, you could always make replacement parts to add to the mummy. Now this looks like a little mummy here, but it's actually not. It's actually just a bunch of salt wrapped up in the shape of a mummy, and this was put in the tomb as an offering. Apparently the ancient Egyptians actually believed that salt had magical godlike powers, and the reason they believed that was because salt could be used to preserve a mummy to stop the decomposition process. So they believed that salt had very divine and magical properties to it. This is a replica of an ancient Egyptian birthing room, and I was not aware of this process, but apparently they created a special room for women to give birth. The mother went in the room with no assistance and could not come out until after the baby was born, so she gave birth in complete isolation. So it was a very dangerous process, and for whatever reason she had to give birth laying on these two bricks, which yikes, that seems uncomfortable. Seems like with ancient Egyptians, everything always comes back to mummies. That's another mummified gazelle. And just look at this here. We have another mummy in this box. And look at him. You can actually see his skull there. These are ushabis. These are little figurines that we placed in the tomb that would apparently complete unwanted tasks in the afterlife that the mummy did not want to do of themselves. Now I must say, there's a lot in this museum that I have absolutely never heard of. Take for instance the corn mummy. This is a corn mummy, so this is a very rare item, and so they would actually take mud and corn kernels, form them into a person, mummify them, and place them in a sarcophagus. This was seen as a magical item. Then they would bury the corn mummy in the cornfield, and the mummy would help the corn grow, would help them have a great corn crop. So, yeah, it's a corn mummy. This is a statue of the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. You can see the statue there. People would, I guess, leave offerings to Sekhmet. Over here we have a diagram of the first pyramid ever made by the ancient Egyptians. This is the step pyramid of Djoser and was built 5,000 years ago. Here are some actual tiles from the inside of the first pyramid. That's pretty crazy. Little miniature tableaus. And here's carpenters making a sarcophagus. And here we see an Egyptian princess getting dressed for a party. There's a family resting after a long day. Looks like they're playing some sort of ancient Egyptian board game there. And some scribes here taking inventory of the library. Here's a statue of Akhenaten. He was a pharaoh in ancient Egypt who actually believed in monotheism. He believed in the worship of one god, not many. And when he became pharaoh, he enforced this belief, making everyone worship only one god. But apparently he was very unpopular, and after his death, many ancient Egyptians tried to erase him from history by burning books that mentioned him and smashing statues of him. Up here they have an exhibit on alchemy. And over here we have a medieval alchemist's workshop. You can see the occult items there. This is the hand of a philosopher. There is a hermetic skull right there. It's kind of a forerunner to modern chemistry. It says that they would spend most of their time trying to alter chemicals to turn, sort of other chemicals into gold, and to create elixirs that with curing properties. And there's a still up there, but I don't know that it's for creating moonshine, but maybe. And here they have a section where you can learn to play the Egyptian game of Senet. I've never played Senet before. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm having a hard time understanding how to play, but I guess you are trying to get your pieces off the board. You roll the dice and then try to get them, try to get it to the end of the board.
Is that what I want?
Wasn't that detected?
You're right, thank you for my
Yeah, see, look at you.
They do have some gardens here on the property as well. Yeah, you have this beautiful Egyptian style garden here. See the fountain there and the Egyptian architecture. A little miniature sphinx there. And over here we have the Rosicrucian labyrinth. It's kind of funny, yesterday we actually went through a labyrinth, so this is the second labyrinth in 2 days. Yesterday's labyrinth was shaped like Snoopy's head. I think this is a more traditionally shaped labyrinth here. You can see all the paths kind of wind towards the center there. So we can see the center from right here, but it's a long winding path to get us all the way there. All right, so we'll walk along labyrinth here, but I just thought I'd give my thoughts on the museum, the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum. It's amazing. You know, you go to a lot of museums. It seems like most museums have Egyptian sections. You know, they have a mummy or two and some other Egyptian artifacts, but that was probably, I don't know, I would say that's probably one of the best, if not the best, Egyptian museum I've ever seen. I think that's just because they have the ability to dedicate the entire museum to ancient Egyptian culture and that sort of thing. So yeah, big thumbs up to the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum. I think if you are already interested in ancient Egypt and that sort of thing, I think this would be, it'd definitely be an amazing experience. See where there's the center of the labyrinth right there? And there are my feet. But you can't just step over. That would be a breach of labyrinth etiquette. You gotta go through all these winding paths right here. I actually remember when I very first moved to North Carolina, I lived in a very small town called Bosco, North Carolina, outside of Franklin, North Carolina. And you know, I didn't have a lot of money. I like to go out and do things, but I couldn't, you know, couldn't afford to really travel. But we had a labyrinth. It had a labyrinth, a beautiful, beautiful little wooded area. There was a creek, and they had a labyrinth. And a lot of times I would just go out to hang out by the labyrinth, just walk around the labyrinth, just you know, sit down, enjoy the nature of it. So every time I walk through a labyrinth, I kind of get those memories of you know, just having to appreciate the simple things that were around me. You know, there was a labyrinth, I could drive to it. It wasn't too far, so it was something I could do, and a place that I could go to think, to relax. And look at this, we have reached the middle of the labyrinth there. So it's kind of a path of contemplation and meditation here. I feel very relaxed, don't you? I'm not even worried about all the car problems. Just kidding, I'm still a little stressed. Just a little though, this helped. Stopped off over here at Guadalupe River Park. They actually have something pretty interesting here. They have Monopoly in the parks. This is a place to come if you enjoy the game of Monopoly, because they have the world's largest Monopoly board. And it is an official record holder. Guinness Book of World Records says this is the largest permanent Monopoly board. So apparently there's a larger board folded up in someone's garage somewhere. We'll start here on Go. And unlike the ancient Egyptian game of Senet, I actually love playing Monopoly, one of my favorite board games, although I do have trouble finding people that will play with me. Some people say that I am overly competitive when it comes to Monopoly. But, and I'll show you how I play here, kind of my strategy. You wanna, of course, you know, the first go around, you wanna buy any piece you can get your hands on. You just go on a buying spree your first go around. You never turn down an opportunity to buy a piece. These railroads, these are good. Getting the 4 railroads, that's a good strategy. But what I like, these are the spots that I aim for, that I try to get, is the light blue spots are good. The pink spots right here, Virginia Avenue, States Avenue, St. Charles Place, these are good. But these orange spots, these are the key. I always go for the orange spots. If I can get all 3 of these orange spots, I can pretty much mount a pretty good strategy. And pretty much, if you can lock these down and get some hotels built on them, you've got a pretty good chance of winning this game. When you move along though, it starts to get too expensive at this point. These red spots, they're not very good. They're too expensive. The yellow spots, too expensive. although the railroads are always good. And then the green spots, oh, these are so expensive. You don't even want to mess. You don't even want to mess with those. And of course, the go to jail spot, you step on that, you end up going to jail. And going to jail, sometimes it's not a bad thing. Sometimes at the end of the game, you want to get yourself locked in jail on purpose, so you don't have to run the risk of landing on a dangerous spot where you could lose money. I think a lot of people love the 2 dark blue spots because they have such high rent, but again, just too expensive. So it used to be I could only find one person that would actually play Monopoly with me, and that was Annabelle. So me and her would sit down and play Monopoly, and I would beat her. I wouldn't go easy on her. I would play the game to win, play it like I was playing against anyone else, and every time I would beat her. But every time she played me, she would get a little closer. She would get closer, she would learn. She would learn from watching me beat her and try to beat me in the same way that I beat her. And then, but I thought the best way to teach her is just to play and treat her as any other opponent. And then I remember she had her birthday party with her little friends, came over, and she told her little friends, let's play Monopoly. And they all agreed, they're all happy to play it. And I sat there and I watched Annabelle destroy each one of them using the Monopoly strategy that she picked up for me. And I was proud. I don't know, I thought that was a parenting win. That I know some parents, when they play a game with the kids, they'll let the kids win, let the kids feel good about themselves, which is good. You know, it's good. But I feel like Annabelle felt pretty good pretty good about herself, that she took the time, she didn't give up, she kept playing against me, kept watching me play and learning from the defeats, and then turning around and turning it into a major victory when she beat her friends at her birthday party. Now this is a controversial statement, but most people play Monopoly totally wrong. They say they don't like to play it because it takes too long, the games are unwieldy, but I feel like if you play actually to win, that the game moves at a normal pace. Also, something that people do is this free parking spot. There's all sorts of weird house rules around this. Free parking is nothing but that. It's free parking. It's a spot you land on. Everyone can land on it. Everyone can park there. Some people play a home rules version where if you land on free parking, you get the pot of money that is somehow left in the middle there. But no, that's just a house rule. Normally, you park here, it's free parking, and that's all it is. See over here, they have a giant set of dice. What have we rolled here? We have rolled a 7. All right, chance. So normally I would need a deck of cards to pick a card that would tell me what to do from there. Man, I really wish I had someone to play Monopoly with me on this giant board. Could I bring the cards with us? Oh yeah, all you need is bring the cards. Basically, you need to bring all the Monopoly stuff except for the board. This would be super fun here. Someday I need to come back and maybe invite some people to do a special giant game of Monopoly. I noticed that some of the spots are actually sponsored by different businesses. And look at this, the boardwalk is actually sponsored by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Now that's pretty fun. See, I guess I would definitely ask out there, do we have any other Monopoly fans watching these videos? And over here next to the Monopoly game, we have some metal animals. These aren't the Monopoly pieces, I don't think. Normally they have the little dog, the top hat, and the newest one is the cat. But yeah, we have the frog here. What is this over here? I think this is some sort of beaver. Is that a beaver right there? Oh no, that's not a beaver. That's a raccoon. You can see he's eating a delicious salmon there. Then we have a hawk of some sort. Uh-oh, that hawk though, see his steely gaze. He's watching this poor innocent little rabbit here. And then lazy fox there. Chaos reigns. Stopped off in Sunol, California, here at the post office. And here at the post office, they actually have a statue of their former mayor, Mayor Bosco. And yeah, he's a dog. Their mayor was a dog. Yes, in 1981, as a lark, some residents of the town decided to run Bosco as mayor of Sunol, and Bosco won, beating out 2 human beings in the process. And I bet they were embarrassed to be beaten by a dog. And yeah, apparently he was said he's the first dog mayor in America. There's actually other dog mayors in America. I know Rabbit Hash, Kentucky only allows dogs to be mayor, but I think Bosco was the first. I don't know if there was ever a dog mayor before Bosco. What I found interesting when I was reading about Bosco, they said that in a Chinese newspaper, they used Bosco as an example of how American democracy had gone wrong, claiming that American democracy was so flawed and ridiculous that it led to a dog being elected mayor. Now I admit, only in America would we elect a dog mayor, but I think that's one of the things that makes America great. We don't take ourselves too seriously. But actually, when China made these accusations towards America, the people of Sunol did come out and publicly state, like, hey, we have a dog mayor, but you know, this thing here, it's for funsies. You know, he doesn't actually run the town. He's an honorary mayor. In fact, look at him. He probably doesn't even know that he's mayor. So, there you go. And who's a good mayor? Who's a good mayor? Such a good mayor there. Look at his little tongue hanging out here. Bosco, I would be honored. Mayor Bosco, I'd be honored if you tried on my hat there. Okay. Oh, it's gonna fall. Okay. There we go. You look. Oh, he looks pretty nice in that hat, doesn't he? And down here, just a little ways from the statue, we have a restaurant themed after Bosco. This is Bosco's Bones and Brew. And here inside the bar is a replica of Bosco behind the bar. That's not actually his taxidermied body. That is a replica of Bosco. But he actually can, believe it or not, he can dispense beer. Alright, so you lift his leg and then he dispenses beer. Oh, and by the way, it is St. Patrick's Day. As I'm recording this, you can see Bosco has his green bow tie there, and is going to be celebrating the evening here at his bar in Sunol, California. And next to the bar here, they do have an adjoined restaurant. So I think we'll grab a little dinner here at Bosco's Bones and Brew. All right, we'll take a look at the menu here, and it does look like they do have some corned beef and cabbage. And being St. Patrick's Day, I guess that would be a fitting meal. Now the corned beef and cabbage included an appetizer, so I chose these mini crab cakes. That is very tasty. Now, it looks like there's clovers on my plate. I don't know if that's for St. Patrick's Day or something they do all the time. And look at this. That is a mighty slab of corned beef. You got your cabbage there. And then there's something, so the mashed potatoes, it looks like there's little bits of something in there. I don't know if that's little onions or whatnot. This looks really good. Let's try this corned beef here. Oh, it is so good. I love corned beef. That's super tender. That is really good. A little cabbage there. I'll try some of this potato. I wasn't sure what was in that potato there. It's like little onions and stuff. Oh, it's a super good meal. So good. And yes, tonight on St. Patrick's Day, we join the Irish Clean Plate Club. So thank you for joining me on our continued adventures. And of course today, it just wouldn't feel right if we didn't start the day out with some car problems. And what did we learn today? We learned that the ancient Egyptians would mummify anything, even a lump of salt. We learned that in order to play the world's largest Monopoly, you need a few friends. And we learned that if your dog puts his mind to it, he could be mayor of a town in California. But thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like these videos, please subscribe. I travel around the country. I film roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun stuff. I'm probably going to try to document more dog mayors. I'm now fascinated by dog mayors. I think there's a cat that's a mayor somewhere too. I definitely want to meet a living animal who holds a political office. If you'd like to help support the channel in other ways, consider donating to Patreon. $3 or more. We'll get you a postcard once a month from me to you. Also, selling enamel pins in the Etsy shop. Also, I'm now on Cameo doing personalized messages and greetings. Having a lot of fun putting those together. If you go into the description of this video, all that information will be in there. And all that helps keep this train on the track, this boat in the water, and this mummified dirigible in the air. Until next time, my friends, this one's in the bag. That'll do, Bosco. That'll do.